A vibrant and successful company culture really needs diversity and inclusion because it's boring otherwise.
One of the mistakes that I see leaders make when they're trying to align their organizational cultures with their corporate strategy and goals is they only measure results. They try to gauge whether they got the outcome they wanted. And I think that's a mistake because you can get a good result with a bad process. That's called luck. We don't want to repeat that process. It's not going to go as well the next time. You can also get a bad result with a good process. That was a smart experiment that was worth running. And you do want to repeat that process. So I think we want to create process accountability, not just outcome accountability. And what that looks like concretely is thinking about what are the qualities of a good decision process. You could make sure that people are considering a wide enough set of options as opposed to just limiting themselves to one or two possibilities. You could also assess how thoroughly they're evaluating the different alternatives instead of just defaulting to the one that's already the favorite in the room. And if you hold people accountable for making those kinds of choices effectively, you're much more likely to get the results you want in the long term.
I used to think if we wanted to see that dynamic happening, we needed people to offer each other help a lot. Turns out we're all too busy for that. There aren't a lot of people who are like, hey, I'm kind of bored this month. How could I make your job better? The biggest driver of people being willing to help each other solve problems is not offering help, it's asking for it. The data cross-culturally suggests that 75 to 90% of all helping in organizations starts with a request. But a lot of people don't ask. They want to be self-reliant. They don't want to be too vulnerable. If you're a giver, you don't want to be a burden to others. You like to be the one doing the giving, not the asking. But if no one ever asks, we have a lot of missed opportunities. We have a lot of hidden potential for people to support each other. And so I think we need to normalize help seeking because it's the only way that the givers in your organization know who could benefit from their contributions and what exactly they need.
If you want to build a culture of being customer-centric, I think the one tactic you should implement is to make sure that as many people as possible actually have contact, direct contact with customers, that they hear the oohs and the ahs from the customer directly, not indirectly. Because if you achieve that, what you create is a culture of empathy, where people start to reflect more on customers, where also people who work internally, who in their day-to-day don't have interactions with customers, they also think from a customer point of view. That changes the culture completely. And I think that that is a foundation to become more customer-centric. That's an important beginning.
It's really hard to maintain a positive culture in periods of growth and change. One of the most important things that we can do is to realize sort of what our job is as a leader and to be very clear about what do leaders do. And I draw this in a series of concentric circles. At the center of the concentric circles is you. And if you don't stay centered, then your wheel cannot spin very fast. So make sure you're taking time for yourself. You're putting your own oxygen mask on first. The next concentric circle is your relationships. If you think that you can build a high-performing team without building good relationships with each of your direct reports, you are kidding yourself. Now, the third concentric circle are your responsibilities. These are the things that you have to do as a manager. What do leaders do? They create a culture of feedback, they build great teams, and they get excellent results. And then your culture emerges from the way you stay centered, the relationships you build, and the way you conduct yourself as you fulfill your responsibilities. That is what we can do to build great cultures, even in times of change.
I am very curious about people. I enjoy people very much. And I think as a 12-year-old, it was what I used to survive the immigration process. You know, understanding a new culture, understanding new people. I mean, look, when we enter any new space, even as adults, it can be very scary, right? I think there are very few people in the world who can enter a room where they don't know anyone and feel totally at ease. Most of the time, even as an adult, you enter a new space with new people and you look around kind of thinking, oh, let me see, maybe there's somebody here who is similar to me in some way, or maybe they speak the same language I do, or maybe they're wearing the same color. I don't know. I'll go to them and say, oh, this is a nice suit you have on. You know, I have something similar. So for me, as a 12-year-old, that was actually what I was trying to do. Of course, as an adult, I can better articulate that and say that's what I was doing. But it is where my love of understanding what our similarities are, that you and I are sitting here across this lovely table, and if we were to talk for 10 minutes, we would find similarities between each other.
The more perspectives you have on a team, the more creative the output will become. Diversity amongst a team is the best way to ensure that every single person that is investing in your creative evolution is bringing a different perspective, that they come from a different walk of life, that they see the world through a different lens. We need to collectively serve the thing that we want to receive. And well, the best way to make sure that what we're serving will be enjoyed by a diverse audience is to ensure that the group of people creating that experience are diverse as well.
You can't have just one point of view, one background, one way of looking at the world, because the world just doesn't react that way. In today's age, of course, we have the ability to interact with so many different types of people, not just in terms of culture, ethnicity, or religion, but also ideology, perspective, history. If you're going to touch your consumer in a way that is emotional, that makes them want to engage with your brand, then you have to have diversity and inclusion at the center of all of your strategy and all of your directives and actions.
A diverse team means that the sum of the heads or some of the people you have is more. So if you have a different people, 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't add up in 3 or 5, it actually adds up more because all of the individuals can build to each other. I know nothing worse than having a 3 or 5 similar kind of persons. No good thinking counts out of that one. Now, having said that, you also have to say that being too diverse, having a different values, is not good for that one. You know, the diversity for me is not about anything else than actually different ways of thinking for different reasons. But if you have somebody who's off the track or off the company values, just having diversity sake of diversity on thought doesn't help the company move forward.